Rain fell steadily over the bustling city, blurring car headlights and draping the streets in a gray mist. Inside the towering Crestfield Enterprises building, everything felt clinical and precise. Clean lines, polished floors, a receptionist whose smile was as stiff as her blazer. At the top, in the CEO's conference room on the 40th floor, Jonathan Blake checked his watch again, sighing quietly. It was already 10:07 a.m. Rebecca Lane, he muttered under his breath, scanning the printed resume in front of him. He hated tardiness. Time was money, especially when you were running a multi-billion-dollar tech corporation. This interview was just one of a dozen today, but something about this one had caught his assistant's attention. Hardworking single mother, the note read. Unusual background. Worth a look. Just as Jonathan reached for his phone to call in the next candidate, the door creaked open. He glanced up, expecting to see a nervous middle-aged woman in a blazer. Instead, a small girl walked in. She was no older than 8, maybe 9. Her coat was too big, clearly borrowed from someone taller, and soaked at the hem. Her shoes squeaked slightly as she crossed the glossy floor. She clutched a pink backpack and a folder in her tiny hands. Jonathan blinked, confused. Sweetheart, are you lost? She stopped in front of the desk and took a deep breath. No, sir, I'm here for the interview. My name is Lily Lane. Jonathan stared, momentarily unsure how to respond. My mom, Rebecca Lane, was supposed to be here. Lily's voice was steady, rehearsed. But she's sick, really sick. She couldn't get out of bed this morning. She tried, but she fainted in the kitchen. A flash of worry darted across her face before she pushed it back down and added, she told me how important this interview was. She cried last night because she thought it might change everything for us. So, I came instead. Jonathan rubbed his temples, unsure if he should be calling security or child services. You came, instead, he repeated slowly. Yes, sir, Lily said, walking to the chair across from him and carefully climbing into it. She told me all about the job. I listened every night when she practiced. I even helped her organize the answers. She slid the folder across the table with both hands. Her resume is in here. And some notes she made. I brought them all. There was something disarming about her composure, so calm for someone so young. She looked Jonathan straight in the eye, not begging, not pleading, just determined. Jonathan picked up the folder, curiosity getting the better of him. You understand this is a professional position. It's not a game. I know, she said quickly. But this isn't a game for us either. Something about the way she said it stopped him. He could tell she wasn't here for fun or attention. She was here because she believed she had to be. He leaned back in his chair. Okay, Lily, let's suppose I humor this. Tell me, why should I even consider your mom for this job? Lily's face lit up just a little, as if she'd been waiting for the question. Because my mom never gives up, she said without hesitation. She takes care of me all by herself. She used to work in offices, real big ones. She even managed people and organized big projects. Then when my dad left, she gave up everything for me. She looked down, just for a second, then back up again. She's smart, and kind, and she knows how to fix things. I've seen her fix broken computers, a leaking sink, even our neighbor's car. She never complains, not even when she's tired. She just says, we'll get through it, Lily. One step at a time. Jonathan felt his throat tighten. He hadn't expected to be moved today, not in an interview. Also, Lily added, reaching into her backpack, she wrote a thank you note in case she got the interview. I found it this morning and brought it. She wanted to say thank you for the opportunity, no matter what. She handed it over. It was written on a small notepad page, in hurried but neat handwriting. As Jonathan unfolded it, he noticed something scribbled in the corner in a different color, a child's crayon drawing of a smiley face. She said even if she didn't get the job, she was proud just to try. Jonathan held the note for a long moment, and for the first time in weeks, something changed in him. He smiled. Not the polite, distant smile of a corporate boss, but a genuine one. He put the note aside gently, then looked at the small girl who had walked into his office and turned an ordinary morning into something unforgettable. Well, Miss Lane, he said, clearing his throat. Let's see what else you've got. Jonathan leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on the glass table, still somewhat amazed at the calm, determined child sitting across from him. Lily Lane might have been small, but her presence filled the room like she belonged there. "All right," he said, folding his hands together. "Let's begin the interview." Lily gave a tiny nod and sat up straighter, her shoes dangling just above the floor. "Okay, I studied my mom's flashcards. I know what this job means." Jonathan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Do you? Tell me what it means." Lily answered without hesitation. "You're looking for someone smart, organized, and brave. Someone who can handle your schedule, keep your work life together, and make sure you don't forget to eat when you get too busy." Jonathan chuckled. "Did your mom write that last part?" Lily smiled. "No, I added that. Mom says she used to remind her old boss to eat, and he didn't die from overworking, so I figured it counts." "Well noted." Jonathan couldn't believe it. This little girl was giving one of the most charming, unfiltered interviews he'd ever experienced. "And why, in your opinion, is your mom the right person for this job?" Lily took a deep breath, her eyes lighting up again. "Because she doesn't give up. Even when she's sick, even when she's scared, even when no one helps. She figures things out. She says being strong doesn't mean you're never tired, it means you keep going anyway." There was a moment of silence between them. Jonathan felt something stir in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Admiration, warmth, a sense of hope. "And what if I asked you about her skills?" he asked. "What can she actually do?" "She used to run meetings and keep track of a whole company's deadlines," Lily said quickly. "She showed me her old planner once. It had so many color codes, I thought it was a rainbow. She also knows how to use spreadsheets, design presentations, fix computers, and calm people down when they're angry." Jonathan raised his eyebrows. "Sounds like she was doing 3 jobs at once." "She was," Lily said proudly. "And then she did another one, being my mom." Jonathan leaned back in his chair, looking up at the ceiling for a moment. In all his years as a CEO, he'd interviewed people with MBAs, slick portfolios, and rehearsed charm. But none of them had walked in dripping wet in a too-big raincoat, speaking on behalf of their mother with nothing but raw honesty and faith. "What about you?" he asked gently. "Do you want your mom to work here?" Lily's expression shifted. She looked down at her hands and nodded slowly. "I want her to be happy again. She used to smile more. Before we had to move. Before the bills got scary. I want her to feel like she matters again." Jonathan's heart clenched. "And she made banana bread last night," Lily added suddenly, eyes brightening a little. "She always does when she's nervous. She said if she ever got this job, she'd bring it in on Fridays for everyone. Just like she used to." He smiled. "Banana bread Friday. I like the sound of that." Then he looked down at the resume in front of him. Rebecca Lane, former project coordinator, 5 years gap in employment. No glowing letters from prestigious firms. No recent experience. But suddenly, none of that mattered. Because Jonathan knew the kind of person she was, through her daughter. A woman who raised a child this brave, this thoughtful, and this loyal. That was a person of substance. He closed the folder and looked Lily in the eye. "Well, Miss Lane, I've heard enough." Lily's eyes widened. "You have?" "Yes," he said, standing up. "And I'd very much like to meet your mom in person. Not for another interview. Just to offer her the job, formally." Lily gasped, then covered her mouth with her hands. "Really?" Jonathan nodded. "She raised one incredible girl. That tells me everything I need to know." Lily couldn't stop grinning. Her legs swung excitedly beneath the chair. "She's going to cry when I tell her. But the happy kind of cry." Jonathan walked her to the door himself. "And when she comes in, tell her to bring some of that banana bread. I think our team could use it." As the little girl disappeared down the hall, the powerful CEO stood in the doorway for a long moment, thinking about resilience, love, and how sometimes, the most extraordinary interviews come from the most unexpected people.